Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara and on this channel I talk all things makeup no buy, ethical consumerism, Project Pan. So I'm going to be discussing the 5 brands that I'm looking forward to purchasing or that I'm interested in buying from over the next year. These are the brands that I'm most interested in trying after my no buy wraps up. So if you've been watching me recently, you know that bringing new makeup into my collection isn't a big part of my channel. I'm all about using what you have and actually trying to declutter the products you have, trying to curate your collection and make it smaller, because that is what I am aiming for personally. But there comes a point when you kind of need to bring new things into your collection, right? Like you reach a point where you've finished all of your foundations, for example, or you don't feel like you have good enough variety in a certain category. And I'm not quite there yet, but because I have been on a makeup no buy for 2 full years, I am quickly approaching that in some areas. So at some point this year, I will be looking to purchase some new makeup. I'm not sure exactly when that is going to be, but if you watched my video about my makeup goals for this year, you will have seen that I'm planning to do a no buy for the first half of the year, the first 6 months, and then after that point, I'm planning to continue with a low buy. So I'm not going to go all out, but I will be giving myself a bit more liberty to get the products that I want to. Side note, I'm kind of regretting my lip combination today. The outline is a bit too dark, but another one of my makeup goals for the year was to try more looks, really get out there more with my makeup. So, you know, if some of them fail, that's just kind of inevitable. Back to what we were discussing for this video. I would say going on a no buy and having to pan my collection, thinking more conscientiously about it, has made me rethink and re-understand everything about makeup, so the makeup industry, but also what my preferences are, what I like. Even just things like the colors that I like on my face. You can see I'm wearing oranges today, and a lot of my recent videos I've been wearing orange eyeshadow because I realized that I prefer warm tones and oranges are some of my favorite colors on my eyes. And a couple years ago, I didn't feel this way, or at least I wasn't aware that orange looked good on my eyes. So a lot of my preferences have changed, and along with that, what I want out of not just makeup but makeup brands has changed. So I didn't really have any parameters a couple years ago. When it came to drugstore makeup, I would buy what was on sale. There is a couple of brands that I would gravitate towards because I knew I liked them, so mainly Maybelline, Revlon, and CoverGirl. And then when it came to high-end makeup, I was a bit pickier just because, you know, putting more of an investment into makeup items, I would think through more what I wanted, and I would take more time and consideration into that. Now I want to be more considerate and more conscientious about all of my purchases, drugstore or otherwise. So starting off with that, I'm less spontaneous with my makeup. But also I now have parameters that makeup brands have to pass in order for me to consider purchasing from them. So the first one is being cruelty-free. I still have a lot of products in my collection that aren't cruelty-free simply because I have not used them up yet, but going forward my plan is to be cruelty-free. I'm vegan, so it doesn't really make sense for me to not consume animal products with what I'm eating, but to be okay with putting animal tested things on my eyes, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to be consistent across my moral framework. So that is the first thing. Also, I'm much more interested in indie brands now, and I know that it's because I want to support smaller companies, and not just in makeup, like across the board. I've tried to not purchase from Amazon. I've tried to shop more local, especially during the holiday season, and I want this to extend, as I said, my moral framework to encompass everything. So I'm looking into buying more from indie makeup brands. And then of course I want to try to buy from brands that are Black owned or person of color owned and women owned, because this is something that I wouldn't really have thought of before, but a surprising number of the biggest makeup companies are owned by men. Oh, and then the last thing is I'm obviously interested in companies that are more environmentally friendly, environmentally conscious. Zero waste is preferable, but that is not necessary for these brands to attain. That's sort of what I'm looking at. So with all that being said, let's talk about the brands that I am intending to buy from when I do purchase makeup. The first one is a brand called Salt New York. Now, I've only heard of this brand because of Kyla here on YouTube. She talks about them all the time. I think that this is a pretty small brand. Like, they're fairly new because they don't actually have that many products. But when I last looked on their website, a ton of their stuff was sold out. So it shows how well they're doing. They're a small indie brand, women-owned. They strive for zero waste or low waste packaging. They're environmentally friendly, vegan, cruelty-free. And also, this is kind of weird, but I really liked the sense of humor that was conveyed on their website. Like, I'll screenshot some things and put them here, but I just thought that they were like able to poke fun, and I think that they're like quite aesthetic. Like their containers for makeup look kind of like a wallet in my opinion, which I thought was pretty cute. And I don't currently have any containers in which to put single eyeshadows, so I'm really interested in them. They're the first brand that I want to try, although I'm not really sure if this is in any particular order. Also, not all of these are going to fall into my moral framework. Some of these I just want to try out because I'm interested in the brand's makeup. Some it's more because of the ethics behind the brand, and some it's more because of wanting to try the makeup. But at minimum, all of these are cruelty-free. The next one, I actually found out about this brand from an Instagram post from Jackie Aina. So she was using this beautiful highlight, it looked like. The brand is called Tinted. They're very new. I just love the packaging. That's the main thing, but also they're very, very inclusive, very diverse. But there really only is one product from this brand that I want to try. It just looks so luxe. I just love the way it looks. And I also don't have very many highlights, so that is an area of my collection which I could afford to sort of bulk up a little bit. The next is, I'm sure you would have guessed it, Aether Beauty. Definitely touted as one of the more ethical brands in the biz. They're super ethical. They're like very political. If you look at their Instagram posts, they're not afraid to take a stand. They are very environmentally conscious. I've heard a lot about their blush kit, so that is probably the item that I would get. This is one of the brands where I don't feel like there's a ton of products from them that I'm interested in, but I'm just interested in trying the brand as a whole. So none of their palettes really call to me that much, but that blush kit, definitely want to try that. I don't know why I keep saying kit. It's set. Blush set. The next, this is probably the largest brand on this list in terms of like size and visibility. It is sold at Sephora, though I do think Aether Beauty is sold at Sephora as well. And it is Fenty. This is, of course, woman of color owned. This is Rihanna's brand. But because she's a celebrity, I don't feel as much the need to like support as a smaller brand because it is huge. Like Rihanna's gonna be fine no matter what. This brand is always gonna be popular, but I love the packaging and I want some of those bronzers. I've heard a ton about them. I really don't have any bronzers that I like that much, so I feel like these bronzers I definitely want to try, and maybe the highlights as well. All right, the next one falls into the category of brands that I really want to try and support, but there's not necessarily any particular makeup that calls to me. So this is Juvia's Place. Now I love the packaging, like I love the way that the palettes look. I think they're so colorful and fun and inventive, but I think because most of their palettes are super colorful, they have every single color of the rainbow, that there's not one that really calls to me. I think that they have one that is more like pink toned, like it's all pinks, but I would prefer something that's like pinky red or pinky red orange. I don't feel like I use that many just pinks. So yeah, there is a lip product that I want to try, this super beautiful red, I think it's like a matte liquid lipstick, but none of the palettes really call to me. Like I want one of the palettes because I love the way they look, but none of the color stories call to me. So I don't know how often they like release new palettes or release new makeup, but I will be keeping my eye on them for the next year because I so want to try Juvia's Place. I feel like I've heard the most about them out of like any indie beauty brand or out of any Black owned beauty brand. I will be keeping a close eye on them next year. Alright, and then I wanted to sneak in one honorable mention. I couldn't help it. This is I believe it's a newer brand and they don't have that much makeup, and so there's not one particular item that I gravitate towards, but I love their branding. Again, I think their palettes are absolutely beautiful. I love their Instagram feeds and their Instagram tutorials. So this is the brand Billy Beauty. Now I heard about them from Sarah Rose, and I actually don't think I've heard anyone else mention this brand. Again, I think that is because they don't have too much makeup, but I love the way their eyeshadow palettes look on other people. I think just because they tend to be like more colorful, just like Juvia's Place, like there's blues and greens, and I really don't like those colors. Like if I had a palette with those colors, I wouldn't reach into them. That is where my hesitancy lies with this brand, but I'm again going to be following them, seeing if they release anything new for the next year, because the jewel tones, like the eyeshadow palettes, are just beautiful. So I would love to support this brand next year. So that was it for this video. Those were the 5 brands that I'm most interested in trying after I wrap up my makeup no buy plus one honorable mention. But I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed, subscribe down below. Let me know what brands you are looking forward to trying out, and if there's any new brands that have launched within the past couple months that you are really looking forward to trying. I was tempted to put Rare Beauty on this list because I love their packaging and I've heard great things, but again, it is a celebrity owned beauty brand, so I'm not quite as inclined to jump for it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye-bye.